Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit. Today's episode is for every woman who's ever heard a song from the 90s and instantly felt transported back to the woman that she was back then. Before the responsibilities, before marriage and kids and invisible labor, before schedules and sports practices and trying to hold everything together. Because sometimes it's not really just about the music, is it? Sometimes it's about reconnecting with that girl that you were when you first heard that song or you first got introduced to that band. Today, I am joined by author Jenifer Goldin, whose newest best-selling novel, Moms Love Boy Bands, explores exactly that. What starts as a story about boy bands and nostalgia quickly becomes something much deeper. Friendship, identity, motherhood, reinvention, and the pressure that women carry every single day. We talk about all of the things, the weight of modern motherhood, the guilt that women feel for wanting something for themselves, why music imprints so deeply in us, and what it means to rediscover the passions that we thought we lost somewhere along the way. This conversation feels a lot less like an interview and more just like two friends rediscovering passions that they thought were gone. And we will make you say, wait, what? Am I feeling like this? What can I do to change it? So whether you were an NSYNC girl, Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block, or you just may miss that version of yourself that used to blast this music in your bedroom while flipping through all those CD booklets and dreaming about your future, this episode's for you. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with Jenifer Goldin. Jenifer Goldin, welcome to the Midlife Edit.
Great. Thanks. So glad to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you about all things midlife, music, momhood, reinvention. So we're going to get right into it. And I want to start with the obvious question. Your book, Moms Love Boy Bands, it's not really about boy bands, is it?
Right. It is it was the jumping off point. We've all seen this phenomenon lately of the resurgence in boy bands and moms finally making time to go see boy bands, going on vacations, like doing everything they can to have this moment. And I was wondering, like, well, why? And what the book is really about is how moms are taking this time now to do this because motherhood is so over the top these days. And this experience of going to a show like the Backstreet Boys gives them the opportunity to reconnect with who they were and all the responsibilities and all the craziness and all the madness of motherhood goes away during that show. And I've said this before, but it's like a really kind of crazy supernatural phenomenon. So, yes, the book is about motherhood. The book is about friendship. The book is about losing yourself and then finding yourself again, marriage, all the things, midlife. It's really about all the things with the fun, amazing backdrop of 90s boy band, 90s pop culture, 90s music. Yeah.
That is just, I mean, not only is it speaking my language, but a lot of my listeners say, I am a 90s girl through and through. I will always be. I don't care how cringe or weird it is. I am here for it. So, do you think that women are really mourning the loss of boy bands or the loss of the girls we were when we loved them?
We're feeling the loss of who we were. And that's a normal phenomenon, I think, for any generation. But I think for us, particularly like now in the age of social media, the pressures of motherhood are just so insane. Um, I like to call it the SpaghettiOs problem, which is what I mean by that is when I was growing up, and my mom had to make me dinner, she would open a can of SpaghettiOs, heat it up for me, and get on with her day and never think twice about it. But now in motherhood, we're living in a time where you're seeing what every mom is making for dinner. Some of them are cooking from scratch. The bento boxes that look like artwork, all of that. And so we're constantly comparing ourselves and we're constantly feeling like we're not doing a good enough job. And I think that's what's really different about motherhood now versus when my mom was coming up. So it's just so much pressure and so much guilt and so much I'm not doing it the right way. Um, so I think these moments where we get to escape are so much more important to us than maybe they even were to our own mothers, because I don't think they were living under the same guilt and pressure, and that's because of social media.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny that you brought that up now because over the weekend I had a sleepover for my 13-year-old stepdaughter. And I was talking to the girls. We did they wanted to do like a little podcast. So I recorded them and we
Oh, I
talked
love
about
that.
the pressures of social media for them, right? And they are saying the same things that we are feeling that not a lot of us say. The exact same things that you just said is we feel so pressured. And, same with my mom. Like it wasn't this whole, you had to put on a show to be a mom. It was, you were a mom. And then now you add the pressures of social media. Plus, I don't know if it's in your area. This is a newer thing in the past, maybe 10 years, but it's not just, okay, you play baseball. You play baseball, but then you're on a travel team. And then you have to go to this clinic and that clinic. And if you don't send your kid
Oh
to
my
one, you're the
God.
worst parent in the world. But you got to take out a second mortgage to send them to half of
Yes.
these things.
Yes.
So there is, yes.
Youth sports. Yeah. That's a loaded term.
Yeah.
What I really wish that youth sports would do is I wish all the parents would go behind the clubhouse and hold hands and all agree we don't have to be this crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just it is complete insanity the way it takes over your life. And that's another thing, like talking about parenting in our generation versus our parents' generation. Jen, I know you know this. If your dad had to go to the bank on Saturday, guess what you were doing? You were getting in the car and you were going to the bank with him, and he could care less about what you had to do or in your mind what you thought was important. No, those days are gone. Like I am doing everything, our whole schedule is around our kids. And there's a lot of great things about that. But I think, as with many things in life, it's like we're always on these extremes, you know? And it's just I don't think it's necessarily great that like in the 80s I went to the bank and the grocery store and didn't necessarily get the attention to some of the things I might have wanted. But I also think like this side we're living on now is just like completely bananas,
Oh,
completely bananas.
we could talk for hours on this, hours, just about all of that. But I mean, and I think too, and I want to say this to anyone that's listening, if you ever get a guilt trip from maybe it's a parent or maybe it's, somebody in your sphere or even on social media about taking that girl's trip, F them, because sure, your mom didn't take those things, but your mom also was able to do date nights with your dad. Or, I mean, I remember my son's father would tell me, like when he was growing up, they would go on vacation and him and his sister would eat McDonald's in the hotel room and his parents would go and have dinner. That
Wow.
was okay
Yeah.
back then. So they
Right.
got that
Right.
escape.
Right.
We need that escape
Right.
now. And it's not
Right.
selfish. We got to take care
Right.
of ourselves first.
I totally have a line in Moms Love Boy Bands, and it's the mom is so frustrated with the dad, and she says to the dad, "I am not a flat Stanley. I am allowed to be multidimensional." Which the dad doesn't even get, because let's be real, the dads aren't involved in the preschool projects, and this is a project that's done by every preschool across America. Um, and the mom is just trying to make the point like, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, I shouldn't feel selfish and self indulgent because I want to get a babysitter and go play Mahjong, or I want to get a babysitter and read a book, or I want to go away for a few nights. And we do. I think what society is trying to make us believe is that we're only allowed to be this one thing, only allowed to be a mom. And if we're working too, then be a mom and try and fit our job in with being a mom. So yes, I am not a flat Stanley. I am allowed to be multidimensional, and I should be able to be that without feeling guilt about it. And that's where it's hard. Yeah.
This is where I think we need to say to ourselves what we would say to our children. Like the people who say that to you, they're jealous. They're just jealous that maybe they didn't think of it or they can't do it. But it's really important. And the fact that you wrote an entire book based on that is just another example of why we need it so much, right? Why we need to talk about it more, why we need to normalize it. Because we need a break sometimes, and it's okay to have fun.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I think, yeah, the writing really became my outlet. So I think a lot of people say, and this just isn't me, and I don't know why, but you hear a lot of women always saying, like, I was told to be small, I was told to be quiet, I was told to not ruffle feathers. And I don't know, Jen, I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like I grew up in the 80s, and we were one of the first generations where it was like, girls can do anything boys can do, you can be whatever you want to be. Like, my mom, it was nurse, teacher, or she was staying at home. And I feel like we were one of the first generations where it was like, be whatever you want, be a lawyer, be a doctor, be a psychologist, like whatever you want to do, you can do it. And so I subscribed to that belief because that's what I was told my whole life. And I had a career and I did all the things and I went to graduate school and then I had kids and boom, wait a minute. You know what? Girls can't do whatever boys can do. Like now I have to shift my whole world simply because I am the woman, or I am the person in the relationship that is in charge of the children. And I really had a lot of feelings about that. So I think I had so much resentment, and it took me a while to figure out it wasn't really against my husband, it was against society's view of this. That all of a sudden I was home and he was living pretty much a very similar life to he had always lived. And by the way, that was because I was home.
Right.
So, yeah, I think if you grew up believing like I did that you didn't have to be small, um, then you have a lot of trouble transitioning to that role as mom because suddenly you're having to give up a lot of things and your partner or husband is not, and you're wondering why.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up too, because it's not necessarily our partner's fault, right? It is society. And I recently was on a trip with a few other women who are moms. And the question to them from other people was, well, who's watching your kids? What do you mean who's watching my kids? They're with their father. Like
Yeah,
nobody's watching them. They're
yeah,
just being parented,
right,
and men don't get asked that question. And again, like I no shade to anybody's husbands because maybe that's not the case, but it's society and that's what they
right.
think that is the norm. So you talked about your whole basically the reinvention into motherhood, and you left a career in pediatric cochlear implants. Am I correct there? To raise
Yeah.
kids, right? So how was that for you? Is that something that you miss now? Is it something that was always like when I think when I grew up, I wanted to be Jem, like Jem and the holograms, and. But was that something that you thought
Fair.
about?
That's a fair thing to want to be.
Yeah.
I have no judgment on that.
But was that something that you were like, yes, you said you grew up and you're like, I can do anything I want to do. So this is my career path and this is what I want to do. Because also our parents grew up in the generation where you had one job and you worked that job for 30 or 40 years and it wasn't the norm to change. So how did that look like for you when you first started the job into becoming a mom, and then when it was time to figure out something else? Was that the path that you were going to go originally, I
So
guess?
it's interesting. Again, I guess I blame a lot on growing up in the 80s, but I always loved to write. I have memories of like the elementary school I went to. We had four different sixth grade classes. Sixth grade was elementary school for me. And I
Same
would
here.
write stories and I remember everyone liked them. And I have a very vivid memory of like each class, like I'd be sent to each class to read my stories. Okay. And I would write and I would send things to like 17 magazine and Sassy magazine. Remember Sassy? And I really enjoyed writing, but again, it was the 80s. And I think if I saw my daughter enjoying writing, you know how we are as moms. What class can she take? What mentor can I get her? What boot camp can I put her in? Let me go all in on the writing for you because I see you enjoy it. Where my parents were just being the 80s parents that they were, and they weren't really, it's not that they were ignoring it or they just weren't paying attention to it as much or weren't trying to foster it as much. So I loved writing. I always loved writing. But then when I got to college, I felt very much like I have to come out with a degree, with a job. Like I can't pursue something um, that won't put me on a very clear path. And part of that too is just I'm a firstborn daughter, which I know you get. Um, and I like a plan, I like a syllabus, I like having a very clear end goal. So pursuing writing would have given me none of that. So as a woman, I think I leaned in naturally to a helping profession.
Mhm.
And I also like technology and the idea of being an audiologist kind of fit all of it. I could work with kids and help them with hearing. And so I didn't, not even for 1 second, consider writing, even though it was like my true like joy and passion. And so I became an audiologist and then I specialized in cochlear implants and um, it was just an amazing career to be involved in. What a privilege to be a part of so many kids' journeys as they um, got access to hearing. It was really amazing, um, and I really enjoyed it. But as I was going through graduate school, I went to Gallaudet, which I don't know if you know what Gallaudet University. It's a university in Washington D.C. And to go there as an undergraduate, you have to be deaf. But for the graduate school, you don't. So I went to Gallaudet University for the graduate programs. You don't. So I went to Gallaudet University. I was like immersed in deaf culture. It was a very interesting experience. And I remember back in the day, like at your colleges, you'd start the semester and you'd buy like 5 or 6 spiral notebooks and it had like the college insignia on the front
Mhm.
and you had a different notebook for each class. I remember, so I would write in my Gallaudet spiral notebooks, this book I started. So I started writing this book when I was in graduate school. So I still loved writing. And then, life went on. I got a job. I moved around a couple of times. I got married, but I kept this box of all these spiral notebooks and they moved with me every time I moved and they just went wherever they went in a closet and storage. And then after I had my second child and he went to kindergarten, I had finally had like some time, right? Right? Like I finally had some time back. And I had just read the book by Elizabeth Gilbert. Have you ever read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert?
No.
It's such a great book. And I just read it at the exact right time. And basically it was like, don't pursue something because it has to have a certain outcome. So like I would have never pursued writing because I didn't know what that outcome could be, or I wouldn't be successful unless I was a New York Times bestseller. Or, you're not going to start podcasting if you don't feel like you can reach 500,000 people. I know you probably understand that. And then
Yeah.
she gave me that permission to just say like, just do it because there's going to be so many transformative magical moments along the way and that's what matters. It's the magic that's happening along the way that matters, not the end result. And I know you doing what you're doing, you 100% get what I'm saying.
I do. I do.
So I took out, this is legit. I took out the box. I went into our storage room. I took out the box. I took out the spiral notebooks and I said, I'm going to write this book. So I started it in my 20s with about a 20-year break. And I actually finished it in my 40s. And it was amazing. So,
I mean, I just got chills. Like literally, I have chills there.
in a way, I felt like motherhood was taking me away from my identity
Mhm.
and the resentment of all that. But in a way, motherhood sifted me back to what actually I loved.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an interesting experience. So yeah, I stepped away from audiology. I didn't know what my future path was going to be. I did As once I became a mom, I did work part-time for the cochlear implant company I'd been working with for a long time. So I was still kind of keeping my foot in the door. But yeah, I pulled out those notebooks and like that was it. That was it. And I'm going to tell you one really, really quick big magic story. So, because I just believe in Elizabeth Gilbert's theory so much. So I'd been writing this book maybe for like 9 months and I didn't tell a soul. And I don't know, Jen, maybe you felt like this when you were starting your podcast, like a little embarrassed, a little like, what if I can't do it? What if people I know read or listen and they think I'm an idiot? You have all this
Yeah.
imposter syndrome and self doubt.
100%.
So I didn't tell anyone, nobody, not even my husband. And then one night I was in bed with my daughter. I mean, I don't know, maybe she's 15 now, maybe she was like 9, and we were reading a book and I had to tell someone. I had to tell someone. I was dying to tell someone. And she was a very safe person to tell. So I looked at her and I was like, Mommy has a secret that she's gonna tell you. And at 9 years old, that's like, she was like, oh, a secret. And I was like, not even daddy knows. And that really got her. She's like, oh my God, like nobody knows, not even daddy. And I'm like, no, and you can't tell him. And she's like, okay. And I told her, I'm like getting emotional when I think about it now. So I told her, Mommy's writing a book and I'm really excited about it. And the way that her face, the configuration of her features, like I'll never forget, like the way that she looked at me when I trusted her with that bit of information. Like I'm getting all the feels right now. Like that is the big magic. That is exactly what Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about. So, right, like right now, this is big magic right here, right now. So, like, I'm never gonna have a New York Times best-selling author, but that I'm never gonna have a New York Times best-selling book, but that's not it. I feel so full and so fulfilled and aligned with myself. In a way that I never did before. And I know that you understand that because you were willing to take the risk to do something. And that's where all the reward is.
I mean, again, chills, but like I almost got a little emotional there because not only is that big magic, but you just showed your 9-year-old daughter at the time that you truly can do anything that you want to do. It's not a concept that's up in the air. It's mommy was passionate about this and I did it. And that is so inspiring for a little girl to hear. I think probably more than you'll ever realize. That'll be something that she takes on with her when she's going to figure out what her passion is. Not necessarily her career, because, right, careers and passions were never a thing together when we were growing up. They're starting
We're
to become,
not. That is the perfect way to say it because now they are.
they
You are
are.
so right.
And
Yeah,
we are giving our children, and it's breaking a cycle, even if it wasn't a cycle that our parents meant for us to be in. They were doing the
yeah,
best they could as parents back then,
absolutely.
and we're breaking the
Absolutely.
cycle now, and it's so awesome. So what kept you from throwing that away, that first manuscript, the one that you moved from place to place to place? What kept you from throwing it away?
Such a good question. I don't know. I do not know. It was the box with the notebooks, and I don't know, Jen. It's such a good question.
It's the magic.
Sometimes your intuition and your gut is aware of something that's like deep in your heart that you're like not even willing to maybe if you hope too much to have that in your life, it hurts too much if you don't. So like maybe you just kind of shut down, but like something in your intuition is knows better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just never know who you're going to reach either. We are, like you said, the reason that you got into audiology was because we're women and we're just meant to help people. And that's why I started this. I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know who I was going to talk to, but I knew that I was feeling a certain way. And I was convinced that other women were too. So I didn't want to keep quiet about it anymore. So it's that magic. And I'm going to read that book now because now I'm like really
So
curious.
good.
Oh, I'm so
It's so
excited.
good. I tell whenever I do book clubs, whatever, it's so dumb because everyone then goes and buys that book and doesn't buy my book. So buy my book too, okay?
Yeah, let's work on yours first, and then we can. So you said, when we were talking back and forth in the email, and this kind of goes along with this, you wrote these two sentences. You said, "Our passions don't disappear; they patiently wait for us," and that's exactly what happened with you. Do you think that a lot of women believe that that version of themselves is just gone forever?
I think a lot of women don't even have the headspace to know what they believe. Like they're just like, we're almost like sheep moving forward into this role of motherhood and not taking the time to sift down to like what right might fulfill us. And we're filling it with adding another thing to the cart and watching the next show. Which is fine, and there's definitely a need for brain rest and disconnecting, but I think I'm not even sure a lot of women are aware.
I agree.
I don't
I agree.
know.
I agree because a lot of us, we go from teenagers to figuring out who we are, and then we become moms, and it's like, okay, well, that person that I thought I was, maybe I'm not, but who am I really? And I think that that's exactly what midlife is about. It's about the figuring out, it's reinvention, but it's also, I think we were always that person in us, and she's finally coming out again. So tell me about teenage Jenifer.
Oh
Um,
God.
because we're in the same genre.
That
I
question ahead of time.
I
Okay.
I want
I
to know
am
all about it. Like, what were you wearing?
okay.
Who were you listening to? You
Okay.
said you were writing, but
Okay. Was a teenager full of self-doubt.
Mhm.
I have very no confidence. I still am not a very confident person. Like I went through some experiences when I was a young teenager with bullying that have forever changed who I am in good ways and in bad. Um, Not from girls. I always had a very strong girl group, but from boys. And it's something I'll wrestle with till the day that I die, unfortunately. But so I like my best friend in the world from growing up. And it's so funny. We grew up in Miami and now we both live in Atlanta. And we grew up living 3 miles apart and we live 3 miles apart
Love
here
that.
in Atlanta. And though we've evolved into different people and, we don't see each other all the time, she's we've experienced life together. She's a very big personality. She's very confident. She's very sure of herself. So I think I always felt the shadow, and not that she was doing that to me. I think that's who I was as a teenager, unsure, not confident, um, feeling somewhat as a shadow. Um, and I think all that has given me a lot of depth. So I don't begrudge it, but that's just the flat out truth. Now, as far as the funner side, all the clothes, the trapper keeper, the teased up bangs, like God, there's just so many amazing pictures, like the really ugly dresses with big bows, the Laura Ashley, yeah, all of it. I mean, every cheesy 80s movie like is still like Jake Ryan, 16 Candles, like all of it. Like it was fun growing up in the 80s.
It really was. It really
It
was.
was fun and it was a lot simpler, you
Who was on
know.
your bedroom wall? Like, who did you have? Which posters did you have up? Who
Well,
was
I
that
was in the
crush?
Ricky Schroeder fan club.
Okay.
Okay.
And a
Like
fan club back
with
then isn't like it is now. Like, you actually had to write in and like send letters and
Yes,
send,
and I
yeah,
did. And I
yeah.
remember I was at sleepaway camp when the packet came, and my parents mailed it to me at camp. And I remember during mail time, like everyone like sits around, and I was like, and I took out the black and white signed picture. It was like so exciting.
Yeah.
Um, so I loved Ricky Schroeder. What else did I have crushes on? I don't know. I was such a sucker for any teenage love movie because I just felt like um boys weren't interested in me. Like I remember Michelle was my best friend growing up. Like I would go to her house and like watch her get ready to go to dances and things like that. So I struggled a lot with that, with feeling like desirable. So I really like got enmeshed in any kind of like teenage love movie, like anyone you name, I'd be like, yeah, yeah. Like um, I wanted that experience so bad, of falling in love, and you know what we see in the movies isn't real, but
Right. Just like social
I
media.
loved all of that,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that.
Do you
That scene, and everybody loves it. It's going around Instagram right now, but I always loved it, and everybody knows this about me. Like that scene at the church where Molly Ringwald, like, and he's standing in front of her, like Jake Ryan, like
yeah.
that kills me every time,
Yeah.
every time.
And it's one of those things where you're like, I mean, I could watch, there's a handful of movies over and over again. They're my comfort movies. I know it's going to happen I know the words, but it's just like, that brings you back
Yeah,
to that.
yeah.
So let's get into the music of that. Who was your favorite boy band? I was New Kids on the Block. I mean, to the point where, do you remember the big buttons that we would have and the ugly sweaters, and like NKOTB was my jam back in the day. Who were you listening to? Like,
I mean, right. Like Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block, a little bit of 98 Degrees, NSYNC. Like there's just something so magical when five boys perfectly curated with different personas
yeah,
in matching outfits get together. There's just something really, really magical about it. And like well, first of all, going to buy the CD,
hmm
okay? Like, I can see it in my mind right now, like walking up and down the aisles of the store, like finding the letter of the alphabet, like going to the B's for Backstreet Boys, flipping through, pulling it out. It's in that big white thing and they have to take it out so nobody will. And then when you get it home and slicing open the plastic and then the little seal that was always a pain to open and sticking it in your huge stereo player and just like looking through the CD booklet,
with the
like,
lyrics
oh
in
my
it
God.
already. Oh, it was the greatest. It was the
Oh my
greatest.
God. Yeah. And now the kids don't get it, it's
Mm-mm.
like one song this, one song that, streams. It's just you never find those like hidden gem songs that you didn't know you would have loved because you're not listening to the B-side.
Right.
Um and you could even like when I first got, I'm a huge music person. I've always been into music, but when I first started, it was tapes,
hmm
and you could buy a single song
hmm
on a tape. Do you remember that?
I do. I do. The singles. Yeah.
Mhm. So, yeah, but I love music, and my daughter loves music. So, and my husband loves music too. So like, I've gotten into newer boy stuff from her. Like I'm a huge Harry Styles fan, which I credit her with. Um and then my husband, I never listened to country ever. And he's a big country music fan. So now there's a lot of country that I love. Um, yeah, music is it's an important thing for me. Whenever I meet someone and they're like, I'm not really a music person,
Yeah.
I don't really get that.
I
I
don't
don't
either.
really understand that.
I don't either, because music, there's always a song for whatever you're going through in your life, or a song
Yes.
that'll take you back, that you're just like, that's my go-to song when I want to cry, or when I want to laugh or feel
Yes.
good. There's always that song. And
Oh,
I
I know. I
miss,
saw you posted about Amy Mann.
yeah.
I forgot about Amy Mann. And when I saw your post, I was just like, oh my God. Yes, like I loved her. Like there were times when I needed to hear an Amy Mann song, like
Mhm.
had to.
Yeah.
Like it just, I read this somewhere, and it's such a good quote, and I'll repeat it. And it's something like, why, and it goes back to the boy bands, like, why do you think this is just come back so big and everything? And it's like the music that plays in the background when we're growing up, like, imprints so hard on our heart in a way that like no other music does. And it's because, we're going through so much, and we're transitioning, and we're growing, and we're trying to figure ourselves out. And it leaves kind of an indelible mark in our hearts and our souls, whatever was playing in the background during all those years. So there's so much music that I love now, but I'll always go back to what
Yeah.
I grew up on.
And that's exactly how I am. As much as I miss the stores where you go in and you stand in line for the newest release and all of that. The thing that I do love about streaming and the social media right now is it can take you back that quickly. So like our kids are starting to listen to the things that we grew up with, and it's just like, okay, like that's pretty cool.
Totally. Like, albeit, so my daughter's 15, she's almost 16.
Good
You're
luck.
very close. Yeah, that's been an experience, but like, we're listening to her playlists a lot while she drives. Really, who am I kidding? She's been taking over the radio since she's been in the front seat, like whatever. But like, she'll play songs like Landslide, for example.
Yeah.
I'm like, such a great song, one of my favorites. How do you know it? And they know all these songs because they're popular because of TikTok.
TikTok. Yep.
Like, they get on TikTok behind somebody's reel, some kind of trend that takes off. And it's been interesting. What was she playing the other day? I don't even know, but it's very interesting because you're right. Like, I'll be in the car with her, and she'll be driving, and a song from like my youth will come on that she likes, and instantly I'm like back to whatever that moment was for me, and I'm not prepared for it because I don't know what's coming on the playlist. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm walking by the hall, passing Brian, who I have a crush on, like wondering if he notices me, or is my big fluorescent belt out of place. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Do I need to go
um,
reapply my hairspray real quick
right.
from
And
my
right,
locker?
right. Am I at blue eyeshadow?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh,
So,
and
yeah.
music just does that. It's so important to me. And
So wait, Jen, what's the last concert you saw?
Hmm.
Or what do you have upcoming? Anything?
I'm a huge Dave Matthews fan, so we go to
Yeah.
multiple a year. What was the last concert we went to? I'm just big live music in general. I actually
Yeah.
just went up
Same.
to Brooklyn with Tracy Bonham to
Oh
record
yes,
her
I listened to
30th.
that episode. Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, and
That must have been amazing.
my very first concert ever, though, you'll appreciate this. I was 11 years old. It was the Clearfield County Fair, and we went to see Criss Cross. And my dad
Jump,
dressed,
jump.
yep, his clothes backwards and everything. And I was like, oh. But ever since then, like live music, I've seen the Eagles, like all
Oh,
genres.
that is one of we just saw them. That's one of my favorites, one of
Yeah.
my favorite all-time bands. But I have to tell you a funny story about Criss Cross and Jump Jump that so pivots back to midlife. My sister-in-law, I have two amazing sister-in-laws. I'm so lucky, but I have one sister-in-law that lives in Atlanta. She's amazing. She was at a wedding, an event, I don't know, and Criss Cross Jump Jump came on, and they're all 40-year-old women. Jump, 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 jump. Well, she landed wrong on her ankle, and she broke her ankle.
That is so
And if
midlife, isn't
that
it?
isn't midlife, I just don't know what is.
That is fantastic. Oh God, love her. That's so, but again, like she was that little girl again, right? She
Yeah,
went, it transformed her. Um,
yeah,
so with your book, and the thing that I want to kind of go into here is that friendship of moms in their 40s. I've talked about, I too have a very good friend from high school that it's like we've never skipped a beat, even if we don't talk to each other for months. But making friends in your 40s is hard, right? I mean, it's just, we're all busy. It's weird times of life. I mean, you and I have talked about how May is just crazy and it's all head
yeah.
down and grind for your family. You mentioned geriatric mean girls. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, that is a term from my novella, Good Moms Say Bad Words. But yes, okay. So, like, does middle school ever end? I don't know. Like, here's a perfect example. Um, you're at an event, it's a school event. So like you pretty much know everyone, you're acquainted with the moms, everyone kind of knows each other. And there's that one mom that comes every time and saves 6 seats for her closest friends. I mean, why? Like, we all know each other. We're all friends. We're all in the same community. And every time I see it, I'm like, all she is putting out into the world is, I don't want to be friends with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be friends with these 6 people, and that's it. And I call it like, are you a seat saver or a seat seeker? Like, be a seat seeker. Like, maybe there's someone you don't really know, but you've been dying to go to coffee with them. Go find them and sit next to them. Or, like, hear me out, sit next to someone you don't really know. You're all part of the same community. Like, I just can't. Like every single time we're at something, like I have to save these seats for these people. Like to me that's a geriatric mean girl. Like and also like I'm just naturally an includer, and it probably comes from the experiences I had growing up. But I think like if you're they say it takes hundreds and hundreds of interactions to really make a friendship with someone. So like if you're an includer, you're going to get to those 100 interactions first. If you're a seat seeker, you're going to get to those interactions first. If you're like I'm such an empath by nature, and like whenever I go to something, like if I'm familiar with the people and there's one new person, I go right up to that person, you know? How are you? I'll introduce them. Like, first of all, you're making a new friend right there because you're showing that you're welcoming and you're friendly. But what a better way to go through life, you know, than just go stand in the corner with the people you already know. And I've had this experience many times. And actually, just about a month ago, one of these moms that was new to our school community said to me, I'll always remember at that event that you came up to me and you introduced me to everybody. And I'll always remember and appreciate that. Like, what a better way to go through life. Like, I don't know.
And
I
to
don't get
teach
it.
your children how
And
to do it, right? I mean,
what?
you're setting the example for your kids. So if you're not including people, then your kids aren't going to include people because that's what they
Right.
see as the example. But
Oh,
if you
oh yes. Apples
are,
do not fall far.
right,
So, oh no. And I mean, I know, listen, there are times when you have to whittle it down or say it's only going to be these people. And, you know, there are times maybe where I didn't do it exactly right or whatever. But I just think in general, if you're trying to be inclusive, if you're trying to meet new people, if that's just kind of your take on life, it's just a better way to go through life. But, yeah, this geriatric mean girl stuff, I really got to explore it a lot in my first book, Anonymous Mom Posts, because that is about the ridiculousness of mom Facebook groups and just how unbelievably rude, mean, and ridiculous women can be on social media. So I don't know. It's like in there. I guess it's part of human nature. Um And I think for anyone that is trying to make friends or expand friends, you know, be the plan maker too. Like you and I love concerts. So if like there's a concert you want to go to, invite some people. And sure, it'll sting if let's say you invite 5 people and 4 of them say no. But if one says yes,
yeah.
and you're going to something you love, so it's naturally going to be fun. Like I don't know. I don't understand the mean girl thing.
I don't either because we talked already about it how women we already have it so hard. Why are we making it harder on each other? It doesn't make sense to me. Like we should want to be no, you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but don't make somebody feel like they're less than or left out because they weren't in that group to begin with. And that is true mean girl, peaked in high school. I don't know what else to do with my life situation.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need to find their passion. Let's just hope that they find their passion someday. Jenifer, I could
Yes.
talk to you for hours and hours and hours,
I
but
know, it's so fun. It went by so fast.
I have a few quick rapid fire questions, and then we're going to talk
Oh
about
God, I
where
don't know
we
if I'm
can
going to be
find
good at
you.
these, but I'll try.
All right, ready? What was your first concert? Your first concert?
Was the Beach Boys with my parents. My first concert as going by myself was Billy Joel.
Wow. Wow, that's a good one to go by yourself with. A song that instantly takes you back to high school.
Oh boy. God, there's just so many songs like going through my head right now. It's kind of crazy. Probably like Hold On, Wilson Phillips.
Love that. One artist that you'd love to have dinner with, dead or alive?
Music or anything.
Anything.
Brene Brown.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Oh, I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. Yeah.
like there's just I would love to meet her. Oh my God.
What song best describes your life right now?
Oh my God, that's a really hard question. I don't know. I'm totally blanking. Um,
Or tell me a song that is just on repeat right now for you.
God, right now there's a couple songs. Well, my daughter and I are going to see Megan Maroney
Fun.
in a couple days. And I don't know if you do country. Do you listen to Megan Maroney?
I
Okay.
listen to
So
everything. Yeah.
so she is her writing, her lyrics are just freaking amazing. And the one somewhere my ex-boyfriend's girlfriend is scrolling through my Instagram like about how her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend and friends are talking bad about her, like that. I'm playing that one all the time right now. I'm playing Ella Langley. He's choosing Texas all the time. um I'm playing Harry's new album like on repeat. So I'm playing that a lot. And then as far as older songs, I love yacht rock. I don't know if you do yacht rock,
Yeah.
but I love yacht rock. So there's this guy that's doing house mixes of yacht rock
I've
songs.
seen that on
It's
TikTok. Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm loving that. Another thing I'm really into right now are acoustic covers, and I've been finding all these acoustic covers of like songs we grew up with, like Tears for Fears, like I don't know, just like fun acoustic covers of songs that bring back all the memories, but like, it makes them a little bit different.
Yeah. I love it. If there, and this isn't a rapid fire one, but the last question I'm going to ask before we tell everybody where to buy your book and find you is if there's a woman listening right now who feels like she spent years being everyone's mom, wife, caretaker, and she's forgotten who she is, what would you want her to know?
I would want her to know that she needs to give herself the space to figure out what makes her feel like her. And I would want her to know that this feeling of like fulfillment and wholeness is really attainable if you're willing to take a little bit of risk. And to me, it kind of always goes back to that quote. And if you're a Brene Brown fan, then you know, like Man in the Arena, by Theodore Roosevelt. Like, and I talk to my kids about this all the time. Like, there's nothing worth living life in the middle and being safe. It's like, and I know you know this because you've taken risks too, but I would just say take some risks because you're not going to feel completely fulfilled. And yes, it's going to come with ups and a hell of a lot of downs, but it's also just going to feed your soul in a way that you're never going to get if you're just living safely in the middle. You're just not.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I'm going to link everything in the show notes, but tell everybody, first off, moms love boy bands. Great summer read. Grab it, read it on the plane, read it on your porch, do some morning, wake up before everybody else, grab your coffee, go sit on the porch, read it. But where can we find you? Where can we follow you? Where are we buying your books?
Yes. You can find all my books on Amazon, and I'm at Jenifer Goldin. Thanks, Mom. It's Jenifer, one N in Jennifer, and Goldin, Goldin, at Jenifer Goldin Writes on Instagram. You could check out my website, authorjenifergoldin.com. Yeah, so those are the places you can find me.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure everybody's going to run out and grab Moms Love Boy Bands, and I'm so excited to see what's next for you. And we will talk so soon. Thanks so much,
Thanks.
Jenifer.
Sounds great. So great being here. Thank you.
I mean, first off, two Jennifers together on a podcast, you knew we were going to talk about all the things that we did. But I absolutely loved my conversation with Jenifer because underneath the talk of the boy bands and the concerts and the 90s nostalgia was something much bigger, right? This reminder that we are still allowed to be who we are, not just moms, not just wives, not just caretakers, not just somebody who's holding everything together for everybody else. We're allowed to have passions and take risk and rediscover who we are no matter how old we are. We're allowed to want more and to feel joy. And we're absolutely allowed to blast some music that made us feel alive when we were 15, 14, 13 years old. And remember that that girl who was trying to discover herself, she's still in there somewhere and she still wants to discover. So I think that that's why conversations like this matter so much in midlife, so that you know that you're not alone, so that you know these conversations that we're having are the same conversations you're having with yourself in your head, right? Do the thing. Be passionate about what you want to be passionate about. Don't assume that you're the only one thinking this way, because you're absolutely not. So if this episode resonated with you, or you have that mom friend who was your boy band friend, or, maybe you need to share it with somebody who is the seat keeper and not the seat taker, share it with them. Make sure that you are liking, following, subscribing, all of the things, and make sure you go follow Jenifer Goldin. All of her Instagram and her website and everything will be linked in the bio. So make sure you go check that out. And hey, if you need to book that trip. Go see NSYNC, or, well, I guess I'm not talking. Go see the Backstreet Boys or New Kids on the Block. Go to Vegas with your girlfriends and do the mom thing, because you deserve it. So until next time, this is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter.